Good morning, and thank you for joining us here at the First Alert Desk on Atlanta News First Plus. You could see a live look outside right now at beautiful Midtown Atlanta. We have near record-breaking warmth during this work week. So if you needed an excuse to get outside, here it is. This is Catch Up Quick, where we catch you up on the stories making headlines in and around Metro Atlanta. And we are going to start with all things election. So let's talk about it. Earlier this morning, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger announcing 20 non-citizens have been purged from the voter roll. That announcement comes as state leaders are pushing for more people to cast their ballot early and seeing record-breaking numbers for early voting. Sarah Hammond is outside the state capitol, where the Secretary of State's office is hoping to hit another milestone today.
Georgia can trust in their elections.
Today, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger announced through a citizenship audit started this summer, 20 non-U.S. citizens were removed from the state's voter list. He says 156 still need additional human investigation.
Other states that have conducted audits were not able to get to the level of detail that our office achieved with this audit. Georgia is a model when it comes to preventing non-citizen voting.
Chief Operating Officer Gabriel Sterling doubled down on stopping the spread of misinformation during this election cycle, both by foreign powers and some of Georgia's own elected officials. He referenced a case in Whitfield County of someone's printed ballot not reflecting the choices they made on the machine. He emphasized it was human error.
There's literally zero, and I'm saying this to certain Congress people in the state, zero evidence of machines flipping votes. And that claim was a lie to 2020, and it's a lie now.
He says if you see something hyper-partisan on social media, take a second look.
If you see information that really scratches that partisan itch, whether it's on the hard left or the hard right, it probably isn't true, and to investigate multiple sources.
Raffensperger says despite the noise, Georgia continues to break records during early voting, with 26% of registered voters already casting their ballots.
This is proof in Georgia it's easy to vote and hard to cheat.
So, of course, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and election officials are doubling down, saying that Georgia's election is secure and safe. They are urging you, if you haven't cast your ballot, start planning to. The final day to do that is November 5th. And there is a final push from both presidential candidates for your vote here in Georgia, a consequential battleground state that will have significant say in who ends up getting the ticket to the White House. As you can see here, this is a line that has been growing since this morning, wrapped around the building here in Metro Atlanta, of Trump supporters getting ready to hear remarks from former President Donald Trump in Duluth. He is expected to hold two different events, a town hall at 3 p.m. and later on a rally at this Gas South Arena. We'll, of course, bring you those live remarks right here on Atlanta News First Plus. That is expected to begin at 7 p.m. Before that, we do also want to mention Vice President Kamala Harris, who is also pushing for final votes here in Georgia. The vice president is set to make another appearance in Georgia tomorrow, and she won't be alone. Former President Barack Obama and legendary musician Bruce Springsteen, and of course Georgia's own Tyler Perry, will join her on the campaign stop. That rally in DeKalb County is going to go on from 3 until 8 p.m. We're going to have both of their remarks on Atlanta News First Plus. Make sure you join us here as we take you through the final push for your vote as we get closer and closer to Election Day. All right, let's take you over to Chamblee, where we have been following this breaking news story since this morning. A Lawrenceville man wanted for felony armed robbery is now dead, killed by one of the officers who went to arrest him. Atlanta News First Don Shipman is with the First Alert breaking news tracker outside of the motel where this happened in DeKalb County.
Learning more about the man killed, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation says that police found out that the robbery suspect was hiding out here. So they moved in to surveil, and at one point they noticed that the man was coming out of his motel room right down there. Shortly after that is when the shooting happened.
A place of rest turning into a crime scene. Law enforcement from multiple agencies, including the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, poring over evidence littering the parking lot of this Quality Inn motel along Northeast Expressway in Chamblee. Shell casings scattering the pavement, the area cordoned off with yellow police tape. The GBI says a Lawrenceville police officer shot and killed this man, 59-year-old Terrell Hoggrow, wanted on several charges, including felony armed robbery. The deadly shooting happened in the parking lot when officers were attempting to arrest Hoggrow, who was hiding out in a motel room here. Authorities say Hoggrow pulled a gun on officers. The recently renovated Quality Inn sits just steps away from a busy I-85. Construction materials still visible. Though shaken by the sounds of gunfire, motel management tell me that none of their other guests or staff were injured. Overall operations were not impacted.
And I looked into it. Hoggrow was wanted for allegedly robbing a gas station at gunpoint in Lawrenceville early last week. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation now tasked with conducting an independent investigation because an officer was involved in this shooting. I've been in contact with Lawrenceville police. They tell me that none of their officers were injured. We're in DeKalb County. Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
And some students in Gwinnett County had a rough start to the school day. They are okay, but a bus got into a crash, as you can see here, on the way to school. Our first alert chopper flew over that scene on Webb Gin House Road at Rocky Road. Now, officials tell us that 6 students were on the bus when it crashed. They were cleared at the scene and taken to school on another bus that came by. No one was sent to the hospital, thankfully, and both drivers are also reported to be okay. All right, check this out. This is all about the future of Metro Atlanta. It is constantly growing and booming, and we're getting a bird's eye view now of a new development plan that will rebirth North Downtown Atlanta, reconnecting the community that will include affordable housing and lots of recreation. Atlanta News First, Asia Wilson is near the downtown connector, which might start to look a little different in the coming years.
Area just right out our window here.
A huge milestone rolled out in the city of Atlanta. Leaders announcing the completion of a massive development plan called the Stitch.
It's going to be over the interstate. So the downtown connector interstate through North Downtown Atlanta around Peachtree Street. That will become a tunnel in the future with park on top of it.
Right now, the area is divided by a highway and includes vacant properties, parking lots, some saying it erased a lot of history.
All along the interstate highway system that were predominantly black neighborhoods, working class neighborhoods that were, these projects, interstate projects, were intentionally routed through these neighborhoods in the 50s and 60s.
But now the 14-acre project will stitch North Downtown back together again. Affordable housing will be a priority, and it will include things like playgrounds, multi-use plazas, interactive water features, and other fun activities for the family.
And this is a project that creates public space where people want to be, and when you do that, development and interest tends to follow. And I think when we look at the next 20, 30 years for downtown Atlanta, this project will be a catalyst for downtown's next chapter, for livability and access.
Project leaders say they received $200 million in funding to begin Phase 1, which will cover 4 to 5 acres of construction. They will start that in 2026.
Yeah, so a lot of excitement and development coming to Atlanta. And again, one more time, a live look outside at Midtown Atlanta. This is our Atlanta News First weather camera showing you the beautiful clouds and the warmth that we are looking forward to as we head closer and closer into the winter months. So make sure you step outside and enjoy today. Atlanta News First, News at 3 is up next.